Rice Dairy Risk Services is a licensed insurance agency and an affiliate of Rice Dairy LLC. Please see the end of this video for our full disclaimer.
Welcome everybody to this special edition of Rice Dairy TV. I'll be your host, Cody Koster, and with me is Mr. Zach Bowers. Thanks for being here, Zach.
Oh, it's a pleasure as always.
We got the flower shirt on Friday, so this is going to be a great show.
That's right.
So today what we're going to be diving into is the Dairy Revenue Protection Program for Q1 just ended about a week ago. We finally got a lot of the indemnities kind of figured out, what folks might possibly owe, and a big question for a lot of producers has been the yield factor. So what Zach and I are going to do is dive into the yield factor, how it works, and how it might affect your payout a little bit.
Yeah. So I think first we just have to do a reminder of what it's revenue protection. What is the formula for revenue? It's your coverage price times your milk production times that yield factor, right? That was kind of always the biggest question that was up in the air at the beginning of the program. And now we finally got a quarter done and settled out, so we can really dive into what that yield did. And then just a brief recap: coverage price for Q1, the Class 3 settlement was $14.30, and the Class 4 was $15.68. So that was the average of January, February, and March.
And that was for everybody. All 50 states had the same exact settlement for Class 3 and Class 4.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So just kind of an example. Say you had bought $15 coverage on 1 million pounds. When you purchase it, that yield factor is equivalent to 1. So your revenue is then 15 cents a pound times 1 million pounds times 1 gives you $150,000 in revenue. So let's just say end of the quarter it settles out, and it settles at exactly $15, right? So now you're thinking, oh man, not getting a payout, right? But then that yield factor comes in down 2%.
The kicker.
All right. So how does that affect your revenue, and does that mean you're getting a payout or not? So in this scenario, then you do your settlement price times the pounds you covered times the yield factor, which was negative 2%. So you multiply it by 0.98, right? Which gets you a total revenue of $147,000.
Okay.
So then your payout then is calculated what you covered minus what it settled out at, gets you a payout of $3,000 in indemnity. So that's just kind of a really, really simple analysis of how the yield factor could put you into an indemnity, but it could also, work opposite and take you out too, had it been up 2%.
Okay.
So yeah, just really quick there. Then we'll take a look at the map. This is the actual settlements for the yield for every quarter, or for every state for the first quarter.
And I think a big takeaway from this is we had 5 states, right, that were actually positive. So let's see, we have Florida up 3.2%, Illinois 0.9%, New Mexico, California, and then finally Oregon. Every other state seemed to settle either unchanged or a little bit negative.
Right. Yeah, especially some of the bigger ones being Arizona down here down 4.1%.
Right.
That was a big one. Indiana down 3.4%, another big one. A lot of the other states, averaging around 2%.
Right.
2%. So really the yield factor worked favorably for the dairymen settling out at the end of first quarter.
Cool.
So here let's take a look at its effects on Arizona. If you remember from our last slide, Arizona was down 4.1%. Interesting thing that they round to the nearest 1%.
Oh, okay.
So the math now is Class 3 settle at $14.30, which is the same settle that we had in every state, like you mentioned before. So then after yield, $14.30 times 0.96, our yield factor, gets us to an actual settlement price of $13.73.
Okay.
Right? And then the same math here for Class 4.
Right.
So that's an example where it worked in their favor, actually. So here let's take a look at the effects on California, where they were up. They were plus 0.7%. So that rounds to up 1%.
Right.
So math again, $14.30, like we had settle in every state, times 1.01, gets you to a final settlement of $14.44. So you can see the yield there actually raised your coverage price because the yield was up, right? And more milk means more revenue. Same thing down here on the Class 4 side of things. So now if we take a look at how they can compare to each other, you see Class 3 Arizona, $13.73 was the settle there, $14.44. So a difference of 71 cents, and kind of those are two extreme cases almost.
Right.
The lowest down and 1% higher can cause that kind of difference. And then same thing on the Class 4 side. So it kind of just shows you that just because you bought a coverage price, that like in the example $15, doesn't mean you can 100% bank on that being your coverage price, because this yield factor is a factor when it comes to revenue.
Proving that the yield factor does matter in this situation.
From there, I think we're going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of which we will then, we're going to be rolling. We have rolled this out to all of our customers, and we'll do an in-depth analysis of this in another video. But yeah, this is our rice dairy portal. I know you want to walk us through it a little bit, Cody?
Yeah, and I know Zach and I use this every single day, but this portal, it's fucking awesome. It's great.
You cannot say that.
You're bleeping it out.
You ruined it. Okay, so to go over the portal that we're going to, like Zach was saying, roll out here pretty soon, we have everything that you do on a policy is going to be stored in here for the producer. And the first part is going to be the effective pounds insured. This particular dairyman did 6.6 million pounds. It's going to show the premium that he is going to pay, right, that he had to pay for that quarter, and the effective revenue guarantee to the right of that, of the floor price that he had set, essentially. And then kind of scrolling down, the exchange pricing, this is where, like, if you do components, it's going to show you what your Class 3 amount of CME contracts is going to be, the pounds, but it's also going to break it up a little bit. Like if you protect a higher butter, fat, and protein, it's going to show you how much extra cheese and how much extra butter is housed in your specific policy for your specific dairy, and break that out into CME contracts in the actual insured price. So that's been a big thing. Vault is that smart where it can physically take that, do the math and calculations for you, and put it right in here. Yeah, which has been great. The component pricing, that is if you do pure components also, this is going to show you how much butter, fat, protein, other solids that you have elected to protect through that specific policy. And then my favorite part, kind of coming down to the bottom, is the contract specifications and then the yield adjustment. But on the specifications, we're taking, so what the producer actually did is 4.4 million pounds with the 1.5 protection factor, getting him to the effective pounds of 6.6 million pounds. It houses the declared butter fat at 3.9, the protein, what the total premium is going to be, what he is going to have to, possibly pay after this quarter, and also, the subsidy, what the government is going to pick up in this situation. And Zach had actually mentioned this earlier too. We are updating, I guess you could say, the yield change for every state, for every policy, for every producer. Yep. Yeah. So every quarter, when they re-estimate the yield, that's then showing up in here, and it's showing how it's affecting a potential indemnity or not. Right. Yep. So you're taking the insured yield the day that you put this on, essentially what it was, what the actual yield has changed to, and then the percent change for that that state. Which then, if you scroll up, you'll see that it can actually show it's all taking all that plus where prices are at and getting you to an estimated potential indemnity. Awesome. Which is really nice to be able to see instead of trying to do the math in your head from a piece of paper the insurance company gave you. Yeah. So that is why this Housing Vault is so awesome. This is why we use it every day. It's great for us. Yes. So thanks for everybody watching. Hopefully this helped break down how the yield factor actually works in your specific area and how it can, determine what you're actually protecting. Yeah. So we will we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for watching Rice Dairy TV. Be sure to click here to learn more about Rice Dairy Risk Services and the Dairy RP program.
And if you're not sure where here is, make sure you scroll down below the video and in the description, click the link.
Oh, that's what I meant to say.